So it turns out Dawn from Morality and Media and Porn Harms has made a new video. You may want to put on some rubber gloves because we're entering a whole new pile of shit.
So I was never going to address the 50 Shades of Grey book just because I thought it was so ridiculous and couldn't believe that so many women would buy into the idea that torture is pleasurable and can be sexually gratifying.
So you don't believe there's such thing as masochists in the world? Now this may just go straight past you, Dawn, but everyone in the world is not a complete copy of you. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like it or not, masochism does exist in our world.
But now that mainstream media has accepted this and is working to normalize this domestic violence.
So according to Dawn, the actions of consenting adults in their own homes is now domestic violence. If you want to take the literal term of domestic violence when applied to bondage, then yeah, it can be considered domestic violence. But as long as two people consent to it, then it's completely fine. If only one person consents to it, then it's considered rape. So in this case, she is right and wrong.
And particularly violence against women, I thought I should just say a couple of things. Interestingly, this week, Oprah, on her network own, debuted a show in which they talk about how glamorous sadomasochism and BDSM lifestyle is. With Lisa Ling, she was the reporter.
I took the time to watch the documentary she's mentioning, and I didn't consider it to be glorifying BDSM in any way. In fact, they do the exact opposite when the woman they were interviewing explains how her boyfriend raped her. Just because they made a short documentary about it doesn't mean they're glorifying it. If this was the case, then Vice Magazine's YouTube channel would have some serious explaining to do.
It's genius that someone came up with this idea that in order to indoctrinate our country into accepting the glamorization of violence, all they needed to do was get Oprah on board, and Oprah caved in and joined, and now here she is, one of the most trusted leaders among American women, from her soapbox saying we should just accept, try to understand, and maybe even explore this lifestyle.
And why should we honestly care? It doesn't affect me or you in any way, so why are you so concerned about what people consent to do in their own private space?
So what is sadomasochism and BDSM? It's violence, it's torture, it's inflicting pain, it's slavery, it's tying people up, it's urination, it's beating, it's spitting on them. It's treating them without any kind of dignity.
And if someone enjoys that, then why should you honestly care? It's their choice of consent, not yours. Just because you don't like something that doesn't affect you in any way, does not mean you have the right to force your own personal beliefs onto other people.
Kink, which is the most popular website out there for sadomasochism and BDSM, they advertise that girls are pulled in and out of cages, their tongues are clamped, their bodies are pinned, and their arms and legs are strapped. They claim to employ contraptions used in countries such as China for torture, as well as machines, water, metal, wood, electrodes, hooks, needles, and urination, all for the sexual persecution of women and young teenage girls.
Now, please explain, Dawn, how China has anything to do with pornography when it's quite illegal there. But I'm almost positive you're not making shit up again.
What creates a desire in any human being that they would want to be abused in such a way? These people have serious problems. It's not normal. It's not healthy.
Why should you, of all fucking people, be allowed to say what's normal and what's not normal? Thanks for confirming the fact that you're a snivelling cunt who's hell-bent on controlling the lives of other people.
Most of the time, they've been deeply hurt in their lives, and this is their way of acting it out.
How the fuck do you know that?
And should we then normalize it? No, we shouldn't normalize it. And then on top of that, I just want to point out that the DSM, which is the manual that psychologists and therapists use to diagnose people with mental disorders, the DSM states that sadism and masochism are both mental disorders.
Ah, the DSM, the same document that claimed that homosexuality was a mental disorder in the 1970s. Not to discredit everything it says, but our perception of mental health changes over time.
If you're struggling with these urges, you have a problem and you need to get help. In addition to that, the UN has a treaty that the United States signed, we have agreed to it, that states that any kind of torture like this that is usually happening in sadomasochism and BDSM activity is illegal, even if one is consenting to do this. It's illegal.
If it was legal, though, it'd be a lot safer for those who want to participate in BDSM activities. A lot of people who are involved in BDSM like to sign contracts to make sure anything they don't want to happen won't happen, and if it does happen, they can have legal support to help them along the way. For the rest of the video, she goes on about how hardcore pornography is more available than ever before, and how the male brain is manipulated easier than silly putty. So that pretty much concludes her video.